Very pleasant good morning to everyone. And I'm very glad that the Minister has established the protocol, because everybody knows I'm not so good at that. But I will tell you that I listened and I said to myself, we have a heavyweight panel tonight, or today. But I'd just like to mention that as I heard the name of the Honorable Michael Morton being mentioned, to let you know that he's not only standing in his official duties, but he was a personal friend of Uncle Merritt. Uncle Merritt told me so years and years ago, and we remember that Honorable Michael Morton used to be at TDC, and he would also tell me of the shopping trips, encounters they used to go on. So it's good to see you, Mr. Morton. And to say to everyone how pleased we are to have you here today. On behalf of the surviving family of the late Uncle Merritt, I should have known better, right? That's better? Thank you. On behalf of the surviving family of the late Uncle Merritt, his wife, Auntie Harriet, brothers and sisters, children, grandchildren, and the extended family, I take this moment out to welcome everyone here today and to say how pleased we are to have you here, and also to thank you for your tremendous outpouring of love and support, especially during these difficult times. Also, I would like to let you know that across the road at Pemo's restaurant, there's some refreshments when you're finished. However, if you feel the need in between, by all means. Somewhere around the grounds also, there's water. And we ask you, please, to stay hydrated. About 3 o'clock today, you can also join the family at the family residence in Mount Lily for some refreshments and entertainment. And now I would like to say a few words on my own personal behalf. I think most persons have already figured out what Uncle Merritt meant to me. So it's perhaps not necessary for me to outline that. However, in these very few words, there perhaps may be something which may help you to understand why. My mother, who was the first of her parents' children, we call her Auntie Lou, told me that her parents had 17 children. So, you know, that's a lot of mouth to feed. And those of us who are older have an idea of what that means. So about the age of 17, Uncle Merritt got an opportunity to migrate to Tortola to better his and the family's condition. According to her, Uncle Merritt had always liked me as a baby because I like to eat. So he got great pleasure in watching me eat. So he used to put food in my crib just to watch me eat it all up. And when he went to Tortola, whenever he wrote back home, he would always enclose an extra $1. And he would say, "This is to buy food for Mr. Tong." That was what he called me. Now, Uncle Merritt had 1,000,000 life stories that he would tell. But there is one particular story that he kept telling me over and over. And I knew he was well aware that he had told me the same story 99 times already. But yet he will proceed to tell me the 100th time. He told me that while working with Mr. Hodge in Tortola, he had become Mr. Hodge's right hand. So there was this lady, a rather wealthy lady, who you would call one of Tortola's aristocrats. She told Mr. Hodge, "Why don't you send back home the little boy?" Needless to say, that obviously that devastated him. But obviously Mr. Hodge paid no credence to her because he knew the value of the little boy Merritt to him. And there's some of you who would have a slight inkling of being prophetic. Imagine that same little boy Merritt, when he became big boy Merritt, became the confidant of that same aristocratic couple. And Uncle Merritt would tell me that story over and over. And I kept trying to figure him out. So hear this. And when I was about 20, he came to Nevis for one of his regular visits. And my mother told me, Uncle Merritt said he will send for you to work with him. You going? I said, sure. So I went and began working with him in the store. And he would call on me to do anything and everything. One day, he called me and he said, "You're a good soldier." And there were those who wanted him to send this little boy back home. And ironically, he did. He called me one day and he said, "I'm going to send you back home to manage the radio station." I didn't have the experience in it, but he said to me, "A radio station is a business like any other business, and you can do it." And right there in his office, he gave me a 30-minute crash course, which I call the principles of operating a successful radio station. Well, we all know what happened with Vaughan Radio, the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean. Uncle Merritt was a great philanthropist. I know because I handled most of his donations to the hospital, the churches, the Combermere Primary School, and other private citizens. Lesson learned: be cautious with what you do with those little boys around you. I wouldn't delve into any details because I think that the record is clear and the evidence is clear, except to say in conclusion, Uncle Merritt was a great commander, and all of us mourn his passing. But I'm to ask us to, as he requested, continue this journey of life, because as he always said, though he was no superstar athlete, His favorite race was the relay race, for he enjoyed running his leg of the race, finishing his part, and passing the baton on. He has done that. And I ask you today, worry not, for what I call in this mighty Merretts Herbert and family army, there remain generals and philosophers, contractors and broadcasters, pilots and cooks, volunteers and foot soldiers, preachers and teachers, farmers and managers, nurses and strategists, and I gather to serve as a decoy to enemies and foes. There are even gangsters and tricksters. Now, I mentioned earlier how Uncle Merritt got me to do everything. Well, almost. There was this one thing he wanted me to do. It was something he was very interested in, but I wasn't. And so he got some of the family members to put a little pressure on to help to persuade me. But I wouldn't. And finally, in the end, I said, Uncle Merritt, it is good to be a king, but it is better to be a kingmaker. So I will help those others to get to that place. You all can figure what place it is. Finally, I would like to call on my last uncle. So, because I told you that Uncle Merritt wanted me to do almost everything, I would like to call on my last uncle so he can tell you one of the last things that Uncle Merritt asked me to do. As Uncle Morgan, he's a pastor, bishop.
The last word was, take care of your uncles and aunts.